Welcome, everyone. A very warm welcome to everyone joining our bootcamp day number 4. So the very final day of our joint endeavor in this Nordic EdTech space. I'm delighted that so many of you could join. My name is Natalia Ingebretsen-Kuchirkova. I work as professor at the University of Stavanger, and I also lead a network of researchers called WiKIT that aims to support EdTech evidence and impact within the EdTech industry. Over the past few days, we've been able to really have a tour of what is happening in the Nordic EdTech landscape. We heard from representatives from EdTech Denmark, Sweden, Iceland, Finland, Estonia. We also had presentations from Pikatel, LearnLab, Kahoot, and other major players. And I'm delighted that today we'll hear from one more, Curipod. And really been able to discuss what does it mean to have impactful technologies and technologies that really are tested in classrooms, that incorporate teachers and educators' views, as well as children's views, and that integrate the science of learning within their design. And those are the technologies that we believe will be making more and more difference as we are moving to 2024 and the future of EdTech. Today, we will hear from 4 different speakers. We begin with Terje Eide, who leads Nordic Edge here in Stavanger in Norway. After that, we have Sparkmind, investor in the Nordic EdTech space, which will be presented by Marko Kyyrönen. And after that, we'll hear from Jørgen Veiby, who works as business development manager at the Startup Lab. And finally, as I mentioned, Curipod and Eirik will talk about the journey that they have been on. It's been a very rapid journey of success for them. So I'm looking forward to that presentation too. And we'll close today's session with a small celebration of those of you who have received the certificate of participation and perhaps want to share a few words. So I'll stop sharing now. And I'll invite Terje to join us and share your screen, Terje, if you would like.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm trying to find the share option. Just give me a second. It's been a while since I've been into Zoom, so I'm not... maybe you can just share the presentation I sent you, Natalia. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. And if you would like to activate your camera, then people should be able to see you.
Yeah, there. Okay.
So,
or I could try to share from my side if you just tell me where to find the share option.
a second, I think I'll be able to do it for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You can start by saying what exciting work you've been doing in Nordic Edge.
Yes, I can do that. As you said, my name is Terje Eide, and I am the CEO of Nordic Edge. I will use this presentation to tell you a bit more about who we are and what our relation to EdTech is, and hopefully can be even more in the future. So I'll just start my presentation. Can I control the slides now, Natalia, or would you have to do it for me?
You should be able to. It's these small arrows down the screen, but if it doesn't work for you, just say next slide and then I can move them for you.
Okay, you can just move on to the next slide then.
Okay.
Thank you. So Nordic Edge is a rather young company. We started in 2016. We are a non-profit company based in Stavanger, Norway, and we have, as shown on this slide, we have 4 kind of main action areas. Our start back in 2016 was the top left corner when we started out what we call Nordic Edge Expo. that turned out rather quickly to be the largest smart city event in the Northern Europe. But just after 2 years, we decided to launch an innovation cluster. That's the upper right corner. So our main activity today is that we run the Norwegian Smart City Innovation Cluster, and we are what they call a Arena Pro Innovation Cluster. That means that we are at the top level in the Norwegian financing system. A rather new thing for us is that we recently started another innovation cluster within a new area for us, which is agri-tech. This part of Norway is strong within agriculture, and we now aim to facilitate more innovation in that area. And also rather new for us is that we have started what is called Innoasis, and Innoasis is what we call a hub for urban innovation. That's a beautiful building in Stavanger Centrum, which is the base camp for a lot of the member companies in our innovation clusters. Next slide, please. So we are a non-profit company. We are owned by the 3 large logos at the top, which is the Lyse, the energy company, Sparebank 1 SR-Bank, which is the large Norwegian bank, and then again Smedvik, a large industrial family office based in Stavanger. The University in Stavanger is also a small owner in the company. Next slide, please. So as a cluster, we have a way to operate that is familiar for a lot of you, I'd guess. We are placed in the middle of these yellow circles, and our main task is to help companies to innovate. That's our main task, and in order to do that, we facilitate cooperation between these different actors. As of today, we have 150 members in the Smart City cluster, and we also have a close cooperation with a lot of municipalities and universities. On the capital side, I'll come back to that a bit later, but I can just briefly mention that we have spent the last 2 or 3 years building a large financial network that we help connect money with the exciting ideas. Next slide. So what we say is that our core philosophy is to be smart with a heart. In the core of that, we mean that technology is sometimes the answer, but never alone. You have to connect the people and the user needs always, either it's inhabitants or pupils in a classroom. And our vision is to create a smarter and greener tomorrow. Next slide, please. So as a cluster, we help our member companies with a lot of different services. All of the things that's mentioned on this slide is things that we are working with every day. And especially connecting people, making them work together with innovation. That's a major part of what we do. Next slide. So in the name, we say the name of the company is Nordic Edge, and we try to really use that in the way we work every day. We have built a large international network in the Nordic countries within every sector, both within organizations and universities and capital and small companies. So we have more than 400 different partners that we cooperate with in the Nordic countries and also in the Northern Europe and in the Baltics. Next slide. I mentioned briefly before, we have also at the same time built a large finance network, which is shown here, and that's very useful for startups that are looking for investments in their companies. Next slide. Yeah, and one of the basic activities we do on financing is that we 2 times every year organize a fund day. That's arena where we connect money with ideas. The freshest example is from October this year, where we organized together with Innovation Norway a fund day in Berlin, together with a lot of companies. We have done it in Copenhagen and in London and in Stavanger. Next slide. So the main and the connection to the EdTech is closing in now. We say that our main target areas is spaces and places, urban energy, on the move, and active citizenships and know-how. And it's on the know-how side that the connections to EdTech is from our side. We have, I think the next slide, Natalia, is maybe, yeah, you can move on to the next slide. So all the way from the beginning, back in 2016, we have had a connection with the Know-How EdTech conference. The Know-How EdTech conference has been a side event of our main event, Nordic Edge Expo. Fun fact is that before I started my job as a CEO in Nordic Edge, I was one of the co-founders of the Know-How EdTech conference, together with Atle and Helene on the University of Stavanger. I am still a part of the advisory board on the Know-How EdTech conference. And as I said in the beginning, today we have 2 innovation clusters, that's Smart City and it's Agri-Tech. And we are now discussing whether we should launch our next innovation cluster. And the theme for that is probably EdTech. It's a bit early, but we are in the midst of a strategy process now. But we have already, all the way since the beginning, have had a close connection to EdTech through this conference of Know-How EdTech, and we are working closely together with the university and the environment there. So yeah, okay, next slide, please. Yeah, that's the Agri-Tech side. I think I just skipped that one. I see the time is running, so we can just move on to the next one. If you are in Stavanger sometimes, I'll invite you all to come and see on beautiful innovations. As I said, this is going to be a hub for urban innovation. We invite startup companies especially to come and work. You can use it as a co-working space, and it's also lovely to use as an event arena, I think. And we are working closely with the University of Stavanger. We have cooperation with researchers that are sitting here and working closely together with companies. It's close to Stavanger Centrum. It's just a couple of minutes to walk. So you're all welcome to visit us here. Next slide, please. In the 7th and 8th of May next year, we will organize again the Nordic Edge Expo. The first day is a big conference, and the second day is a large workshop day. The workshop day is flexible, and we invite you to launch ideas to us if you would like to organize workshops connected to the conference. There's a web page set up where we explain how we try to focus the next year's Nordic Edge Expo. And as I said, it will be an opportunity to organize workshops. We will gather more than 1,000 participants from the Nordic countries, from all the sectors, public arena, private companies, investors, academia, and so forth. Yes, I think that was rather quick, Natalia, but that was my last slide. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Terje. I wanted to encourage people to put questions in the Q&A, because that's the way how you can communicate with us today.
Yeah.
So I'll stop sharing now. Allow for a few minutes if someone wants to ask a question. Terje, I have to say I love the slogan that you say, technology smart with the heart.
Yeah, that's right. That's the philosophy.
Yes, your philosophy. Where did it come from? Has it been sort of organically emerging, or?
It was made back in 2016, originally to be kind of the slogan for the conference, but we rather quickly saw that that was a nice way to embrace the way we like to think and work, because the smart city industry is very tech oriented, and tech is often very cold and blue. So that's not the way we would like to see things. So that's why Smart with a Heart kind of pinpoints the way we think.
Like that, like that. And then there is the question about Smart City Stavanger. Would you mind saying a few words about the connection between Smart City Stavanger and Nordic Edge?
Yeah, the Smart City Stavanger, has been a part of the municipality of Stavanger as a department. Right now they are going through a kind of reorganization. So the Smart City department is kind of included into a large department of innovation within the municipality. But that's another organization completely as a part of the municipality of Stavanger. We are a separate company, privately owned, and they are represented in my board with a member. But they are a very close partner to us, and we have a lot of projects that we work together with them within.
Yeah. And is one of the projects to do with EdTech too, or not yet?
It has been through the Know-How EdTech conference. That's kind of one of the arenas that we have worked together on. And now we have one idea that is closely connected to Stavanger municipality and EdTech, and that is we are trying to build a large university of testing arenas where we can facilitate for more testing. And we have signed an agreement with the municipality where they say that they can provide schools that are willing to be test arenas for companies that will test new commercial ideas. So our role is to kind of to identify the test arenas, and we have done that together with the Stavanger municipality.
That's excellent. I mean, that was the key topic of the test beds discussions we had with EdTech Denmark and Finland and others, because that kind of strategic collaboration with schools when it comes to testing technologies is really important. And I guess that will be really the part that you can play in facilitating these connections.
Definitely. Our experience shows that if you try to contact a school as a small company, you will probably get no in the beginning. But since we have set up we have opened the doors, it's much easier for the companies to get access to sharp test arenas.
Yep. And to have that systematically then is really important, because otherwise it becomes a bit fragmented, right? That some companies have the access, some don't. So having this kind of test bed structure is really important. Now that's all wonderful. Thank you very much, Terje.
Okay, my pleasure.
And our next speaker then, there's one more question for you, Terje. It's just popped up on the screen. Would you mind answering that?
No.
What's the criteria for test bed? So when deciding to set up a test bed, would there be any criteria in terms of the region or specific pedagogy followed by the schools? Are there any criteria you can think of at the moment?
At the level we are now, it's a prototype. So we have said that we are the first contact point. So if you have an idea and you want testing, you can contact Nordic Edge. And now, since you have seen me, you can contact me. And we will be the first point of contact. And then the next step will be to get in touch with the right school and the right principal to see whether it's possible to do the actual test. But I will be the contact point.
So Terje is your person.
Yes, exactly.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Terje. And now I invite Marko, who I believe has just joined. Hi, Marko. Can you hear us and see us and are able to share your screen with your slides? You should be able to start your camera.
Yes, I do hear you. I hope you hear me as well.
We do, but we only see the black screen. I wonder whether you have the little sliding thing on your PC. I sometimes
that could be one thing,
open.
or I just changed my camera. Just a moment.
So Marko is joining us from Sparkmind, and I know that he's based in Finland. There you are.
Yeah.
thanks so much for joining, Marko. I know you have a very busy day today, so without further ado, would you like to start sharing your presentation and present about Sparkmind?
Of course. Thank you. So
you see the share screen button?
Yes, just a moment.
If it becomes tricky, I can do that for you.
There we go. I think.
Yeah.
Just a moment.
And it's that little button down the screen. Yeah, perfect.
There we should have the presentation mode, indeed. Yes.
Lovely, thank you.
So thank you, Natalia, and hello everyone. I'm Marko Kyyrönen from Sparkmind Venture Capital. We are EdTech early stage VC specialist investment fund and investment manager from here, Helsinki, Finland. And we have been active since first quarter of 2020. Our first closing was almost exactly 4 years ago. And Jacobs Foundation has been one of our LP investors in our fund since summer 2021. And in short, we have 55.3 million under management of commitments. Our core and cornerstone investor is Finnish Industry Investment Fund, which is a national fund that supports early stage VC funds that invest not only in Finland but very internationally. Our investment strategy is to invest mostly on Europe, but we are also able to invest outside of Europe geography. Our LPs are 90% Finnish, but we have, as said, Jacobs Foundation and other Nordic and Nordic investors as LPs as well. Our focus is in European early stage investment, but of course, as we are here in the Nordics, half of our portfolio is Nordic based. We'll show you more on the next slides. We are very agnostic within the education, so meaning that we look at opportunities, investment cases that are from the early childhood education up to lifelong learning, higher education. So anything within education, we are quite open-minded. And looking at the stages, so far, we have been mostly seed and Series A, but we have flexibility of being also pre-seed and Series B, depending on the opportunity in hand. But mostly our investments have been in the seed stage. So far, 21 investments, 1 exit, Eide Science. Some of you might know, of course, the company. And we are looking to make from this first fund 4, 5, perhaps 6 initial investments more. And what is important to know that we are Article 9 regulations, impact investment fund. So in our core is to support the companies with their impact strategy and align their impact initiatives and impact targets with the business targets, that these two support the growth and exit eventually. So here are some of the names of our portfolio companies. I suppose you know them, some of them. At the moment, we have 5 companies from Finland, 2 from Sweden, 2 from Denmark, 4 from Germany, 5 from UK, 1 Austrian, 1 a Spanish company, and 1 from Australia out of our geography. And Of course, we have done co-investments with our well-known co-investors like EduCapital and Bright Eye, and some of the latest investments are typical examples of that. Something I would like you to know about what we think about impact and our investment philosophy is that there are some things that are in common in a lot of companies and in our investment targets. So impact investing typically measures not only the financial gains, but also the societal gains of the companies. And I strongly believe that in EdTech and education early stage investments, these two things can be combined. Whether it's, like things what the business offers, engagement, efficiency, data, access and equality, cost efficiency, which is related to efficiency, I think there's a win-win situation, or I would say a triple win situation of companies, investors, and society, where good solutions can make real value and beyond the financial value. And on the right side, you may see the performance of impact investments versus the financial performance. So there is clear evidence that when these two things are combined, there is huge impact and huge financial gains to be achieved. Then to start with, why I also became to be part of this industry something like 6 years ago. I founded the company in October 2017, and I saw that this domain has lack of capital, lack of innovation. There are companies with huge growth potential and lots of talent behind these new companies. So in short, the big picture is very, very lucrative for the EdTech. Looking at the number of companies we get, demographic drivers, and so on. COVID-19, of course, was a big turning point for this industry, and still it has the effects, as well as we can be seen on the PISA 2022 results. And some of the themes we are now looking at and we are observing that should have more attention as investors on our view is the lack of teachers, qualified teachers, skills. I think the upskilling and reskilling, the future of work is still becoming a bigger theme in the near future, although it already is, but it will. And also the evolution of higher education, degree-based things to the skills attained from the higher education. That is one thing we are now investing on. And then, of course, looking at the corporate world, but also the higher ed on some point, we think the mentoring and coaching will be a big thing when made scalable and accessible for new demographies. That will be a big thing as well. So these are some of the themes and trends we are seeing at the moment. But on the other hand, we must also say that I suppose there are startups online that there are quite limited supply of capital. There are not that many EdTech specialists in Europe or in Nordics especially. So for the investors, this is a space where we don't have that much competition to work on and compete with the best deals. Then, as the theme is the Nordic EdTech, so here are just a couple of my points that I have seen in the latest years, and what are the strengths and weaknesses of the Nordic EdTech startup scene and for our community. So what is the strength? Is the public support. We have funding like our fund. We have accelerators, incubators like EduHub, XEDU. We have public test beds as shown here before. Countries and cities have their own test beds for the companies. NGOs are supporting well. We have innovation startups. We have a lot of institutional support for the companies. So there's a clear plus. Looking at top down, we have teachers teaching and the pedagogical mindset of startups. That is a clear strength of the companies. Mostly the companies also share the view that they are born global. So we have a very local markets. So if they want to succeed and to be scalable globally, they must think born global. So, well, that's also well, the local markets aren't supporting the companies because we have our own local languages, we have own systems, and that is somewhat making some barriers of growth. So that's why we look at born global companies first. Networks, mentors, business angels. I hope you startups in every country have connection to local business angels and mentors. I suppose every country have those. I strongly urge you to be in touch with those because they have very, very essential wisdom how to carry on and how to grow the company and how to make the key decisions. Then again, we have very good seed investor network, and also impact funds are emerging. So any of you companies that are raising rounds between 500,000, 1 million, the newborn impact funds in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, for example, also Finland, are ready to support on those smaller pre-seed and seed rounds. And finally, I must say that the brand, the Nordic brand of education, that is very, very valuable. So don't forget to say that we are Nordic, we should have, and we have the knowledge on pedagogical excellence, and that we have some stamp of proof that our systems and our solution work in the long run. And I think most of you have seen this slide from the Holland IQ of the Nordic Baltic EdTech 50, how they categorize the companies and how they see the current top 50 companies. And I usually say to a lot of startups that please contact these companies and ask what they have done right, what they have done wrong, if you are in the certain category as you see. And I think the company should help each other and you know, find the answers for their questions, how to scale up, and of course how to cooperate with our investor community and how to make with the investments more scalable companies out of the Nordic Baltic EdTech scene. So here's my presentation. Thank you, and I hope you have some questions for me.
Thanks very much, Marko. That was a very nice overview of the excellent work you've been doing in this space. And we are certainly at WiKIT delighted that we can be supporting some of your companies. And as you said, the Jacobs Foundation has been doing excellent work in this space by co-funding many of these impact-related projects.
Correct.
There is a question there around how this social how the social impact works when you fund different companies or thinking about funding them. How would you think about the criteria you might have about what to fund? How do you look at social impact? Which metrics or quality assurance mechanisms you have in place?
Yeah, very good question. That is a thing we always are wrestling with. So all the companies are case by case. You cannot have certain metrics for all the companies. So depending what the solution or what the problem they are solving or what the market they are addressing, they have different metrics. And we always have typically 2 to 4 metrics that support also the growth of the company. So while delivering the positive change for the users, for the customers, they also have the measures that support the growth and their growth drivers, meaning that they measure the key things and also put their energy and money to the things that create value for the customers that is scalable. And 4 years ago, there was a study from the US EdTech Impact investors that there are 54 different metrics. And I can say that from our portfolio, there's like 20 or 30 different metrics, but it's always case by case when we decide which are the key impact indicators or key impact metrics we choose.
I like that. I really like how you put it, because it's really this sort of balance between the impact and business agenda, right? Making sure that there is a return on learning and there is a return on investment, and how to marry those two. And it will be very individual to each company. So hence the impact metrics need to be individualized as well.
Indeed. And I have a case example on that. A company called Lexplore, where I'm a member of the board. They measure quite strictly how the solution is improving the reading skills of each cohort and each level of readers in K-12. And here you have very clear data on year of the improvement of the reading skills. That is very, very essential also for the PISA results, but also for the decision makers who in communities and in schools who buy the product. So at the same time, you have the impact metrics, but also the marketing metrics. And these marketing metrics support the growth strategy of the company. So these metrics are then aligned for the common goal of improved learning incomes, in this case, reading assessment scores, and then improving growth.
That's a terrific example. In fact, many policymakers and school procurement teams are asking all the time, what's the learning effect here, right? What's the effect of this company if we are to make a procurement on a national level? How do we know that children actually are learning with this EdTech? So Lexplore is a very good example of how to really embed those metrics into your growth strategy, and as you say, also for your communication, because it is part of the marketing, isn't it? If you have solid evidence how you impact children, then it's so important to showcase it.
Indeed, are correct.
And there is a question for you, Marko, before you head off, about the success revenue models for Finnish EdTech.
Success revenue models for Finnish EdTech. I don't know if I understand this right, but okay.
The way I interpret, go ahead.
I think it is a question about the B2B. So how to sell in the Finnish K-12 public sector. And indeed, that is a problem. The sales cycles are very long. But on the other hand, if you are selling, early childhood education, K-12 or higher ed, if you can make it here in Finland and you pass the quality criteria of those institutions. So if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So that's a good starting point. But as I said before, we have a very difficult market with long sales cycles. So if you have the proof from here, that is good, but don't expect a rapid expansion in the Finnish or in the Nordic markets necessarily.
Yeah, it takes time to build that impact, right? Because you need to track the success over time.
Correct. Yeah, you need the time.
Yeah. It's for a marathon. It's not for a sprint. So that's partly the reason.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Marko. I really appreciate that you could squeeze us in and share your insights, and I'm sure all the attendees did too. So many thanks again.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Thank you. And I invite now Jørgen, who is joining us from Startup Lab. Hi, Jørgen, there you are. So if you would like to take us through the journey that you have been on with Startup Lab and say a few words about how you are working with EdTechs.
Yes. So let me see. Do you see my slides now? Yes?
Yes, all works.
All right, great. Hello, guys. My name is Jørgen. I work at the Startup Lab. Maybe some of you have know what Startup Lab is from before. Maybe some don't, and I will take you a little bit through what we do here and some examples of EdTech companies that have been through Startup Lab. So, Startup Lab has been now around for 10, 11 years. We are based in Oslo and in Bergen and have become the largest incubator in Norway, and also one of the most active early stage investors for the country's most ambitious technology startups. So I hope that some of you that are here today are ambitious founders that could maybe come talk to me afterwards. So since the beginning, we have always had the vision and kind of the mission to help founders, and we always put founders first. I mean, when you are starting a company, you will meet with the VCs and customers, and there will always be negotiations. And Startup Lab will be there to sit on the same side of the table as the founders to kind of make it as best as possible for them. So Startup Lab we've been doing a lot on the investment side the last 10 years, so that I think Norway now is better than ever when it comes to early stage investments. And we have contributed to take in different forms of investment types, such as the slip, if someone are familiar with that, shareholder agreements, basic thing like that have we helped with. We get approximately 600 applications every year from startups, and we accept around 10% of that. So that means 50 to 60 startups into Startup Lab every year. More than now 500 companies have been through, and we currently have 90 sitting here behind me in Oslo and 20 in Bergen. We have now also done more than 160 investments through 4 different funds. So we are investing in our 4th fund now. So we are typically the first external investor for the company, and our money comes from previous founders, serial entrepreneurs that want to invest some of what they have earned through exits back to Norwegian companies. Yeah, and they have created a lot of jobs. Yeah, so we basically work through kind of 3 vehicles here. So we have the incubator, which is a physical space. You come and sit down. You work here with other founders that are kind of in the same phase, or a little bit different phases, but you are kind of in the same club in a way. So you typically talk with your case with other founders. You can come talk to the Startup Lab team, and we kind of help you with our network. We have invested in approximately 1 out of 4 that have moved into the incubator historically. And then we have the accelerator program, which is application deadline 2 times every year. It's a 3 months program where we follow you a little bit a little bit closer, and you get an investment of up to 3 million kroner. In the incubator, you can also get an investment, but that is more moving in and get to know each other. Yeah, and we also do investments outside of these 2 programs. Yeah, as I said, the investors in Startup Lab will come from different have different backgrounds, but kind of what they have in common is that they are all founders themselves that want to give back to new companies. One of them is Eirik from Kahoot. He met with the early Kahoot founders in Startup Lab back in the days, and is now leading the company. He's also chairman of the board in some of our funds. And as you can see here, we bring kind of these serial entrepreneurs back to the community to share their knowledge and experience to the new founders. Yeah. What we look for in companies moving into Startup Lab is that they have maybe team should be on the top, because I mean team is most important when you start a company. You have to have an idea that can be globally scaled. You need to build something on your own. We really look for companies with kind of the CTO in-house. And you have to have global ambitions, and also you need to be at least two people in the team. I mean, starting a company with just 1 person is hard, and we believe that out of 8 billion people in the world, you should be able to convince at least 1 other that it's a smart thing to start this company. So we have some things that you see here that we look on when we kind of both take companies into the incubator and when we invest. I'm happy to share this with you afterwards. The team in Startup Lab consists of 23 people waking up every day to help Norwegian companies succeed out of Norway. So we are 50% with the entrepreneurial background ourselves. I myself started 2 companies before coming into Startup Lab, and they are still alive, both of them. That's important to say. And we have people from the different parts of the industry, from consulting firms and from investment firms. So they are all here to serve Norwegian founders and create this best possible community for them. What we do is always to put the startups in the middle, and we work then with other investors, capital players that you probably are familiar with. We also have an industry partner network consisting of 25 of the biggest companies in Norway. They are members of Startup Lab in order to be pilot customers from the startups, maybe invest in them. Some of them have their own investment arms. We also have collaboration with government stakeholders. That could be municipalities. It could be players like Innovation Norway, which has office hours here monthly, things like that, and also with research and academia players. And then you might wonder, okay, this, I mean, going 10 years, 15 years back in Norway, you could hear like, yeah, okay, you're starting a company, but does it really become anything? Like, don't they go bankrupt in a year or two? Well, no, they actually build large companies. So these are some of the companies that have been through Startup Lab. The point of showing it is that we are kind of sector agnostic. We work with both B2B and B2C companies, both software and hardware. Yeah, and they have created more than 4,000 jobs, as I mentioned, and the revenue in 2022 from this company was more than 8 billion Norwegian kroners. So I mean, these companies are giving back to Norway and kind of creating a better world. These are some of the here you can see the lab pictures from the lab that I just took 5 minutes ago. I mean, of course, we try to create an inspirational place to work, and having kind of sitting on the same desk as Kahoot did, or No Isolation or Remarkable, it's kind of it could be a cool thing. So if you're ever in Oslo and want to come by and work at Startup Lab for some hours and say hi to us, you're more than welcome. You don't need the access card to actually get into Startup Lab, but if you want to be a member, you have to apply. So, but feel free to reach out to me if you're ever in Oslo and want to have a chat. We see also that I mean, the deal flow to Startup Lab comes from people that are moving out of their jumping out of their daily job and start a company. It also comes from scientists that have a exciting project that they want to start a company around. It comes from students and also from serial entrepreneurs that have just started companies all over and over. And we just had Daniel and Johannes moving in here. Now a couple of weeks ago, they started Poyo some years ago, EdTech company that was bought by Kahoot, and now they are back again, almost with the same shirts and beard and hair, but several years later with a new company we will write. So also inside the EdTech space. So that is just one example of founders that do one company, succeeds. I mean, Kahoot has been, of course, you probably all know, a big kind of wave paver for many, and now we have companies following on in that direction. So these guys are one example. Another example that we will hear more from after me is Curipod. Which yeah, they raised 4.6 million earlier this year and are on a very exciting journey. I'm not going to say too much about it, but I guess Eirik will cover that. But definitely one of the companies that are doing best now in the lab with very good numbers and high growth. So I'm curious to hear more from Eirik on this, and also for any of you that want to start a company within EdTech or other sectors, feel free to reach out to me, and we're also always open for a call or a meeting. So I think that was it from me. If anyone has any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Jørgen. And thanks for sharing some specific examples as well, encouraging for the EdTech founders who are in the audience. There's a question about whether the companies that you support need to be in Norwegian or based in Norway. How does it work?
Yeah, so we our mandate, or like our Yeah, we only kind of support Norwegian registered companies. That's the short answer to it. So yeah, so we are here for the Norwegian to help kind of Norwegian companies succeed internationally.
So if someone is not from Norway but would like to be supported by you, they need to move to Norway. That's the sort of roundabout answer as well.
Yeah, I mean, you could be from another country, but you need to kind of have a Norwegian registered company. So Norway, if you have a Norwegian registered company and that's kind of the top company in your in your setup, that's then we could talk.
Then you can speak with Jørgen. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we could always talk, but that we are kind of for those companies.
Yep. Yeah, and you really build a very supportive community. So that will be a model that many people listening might be thinking about adopting for their own hubs or clusters. This sort of combination of a really comprehensive support, that's quite unique.
Yeah, and we're happy to. I mean, we have weekly, we have delegations coming in here to kind of see how we work and get inspired. So if anyone wants to have a visit to Oslo and see how we work at Startup Lab and kind of feel how it is to be here, feel free to reach out.
Lovely. Perfect. Thank you so much, Jørgen. We are now excited to hear from Eirik. As you said, Curipod is joining us as one of the examples from Startup Lab. So if you stop sharing screen, then Eirik can share his. Hi, Eirik. Thanks for joining us.
Can you hear me okay?
We hear you okay, we see you okay. Go ahead.
Perfect. So nice to be here. And thank you so much to Jørgen. Starting up, sitting in Startup Lab has been a really, really great part of our journey. It's, as I said, like the Poyo founders, they're just getting back. And they were there when we got into Startup Lab our first year, and we got so much help from them, right? So seeing this network just going around and around, it's so amazing. What I thought I would be talking about today is briefly sharing our journey. And I will, of course, use, let me see here. Do I share my, it looks like I share my screen.
Yeah, all good.
Loudly if I don't. Nice. So what I thought I would talk about is our journey, and usually I talk about how do we make something students love. That's kind of the goal of EdTech, is make sure it brings the classroom forward. And the hint is get out of the office, right? You can't try to, like, you have to just be enough in the classroom. That's been our that's the summary of our journey, and I'll take you through it here. So Curipod, that's us. We're an interactive presentation tool. I'm using it right now to present. It means that you present stuff like you would do in Google Slides or PowerPoint, and it's interactive, a bit like Nearpod, Mentimeter. It's built for the education system. In the US, you have some older incumbents like Nearpod and Kyyrönen, which is in this sector. But we bring a lot of the Nordic pedagogics into this, which I will share a little bit about. My name is Eirik. I am co-founder, COO, and most importantly, Orange Pants Traveler. That is what I do most of my time, is traveling around the US wearing orange pants. I have a lot of fun doing that. You see my suitcase here, teacher, come talk to me. Probably my best investment ever, because I spend a lot of time at airports, and suddenly I can do user sets all the time because teachers are everywhere. And that is just so much fun. A little bit of our background or status. We are currently having 1,000 new teachers signing up to Curipod every day. And it's been going like this since January 22nd this year. So it's been quite a ride the last 12 months. We currently have 340,000 monthly students learning in Curipod, participating in our activities hosted by teachers. And as Jørgen mentioned, this fall, we raised a 5.6 million USD seed round from, among others, Reach Capital, which is one of the largest EdTech VCs in the United States, and Emerson Collective. how do we do what we do? And startup is, you can have a lot of podcasts about how you do all of this, but understanding your users and iterate fast, that kind of boils it down to how we work. But then I think one of the more interesting questions, especially when we're coming into EdTech, is how do you understand your users? You could do qualitative research or you can do quantitative research. Qualitative research is typically interviews. You speak with people. You try to understand kind of what are your problems and how can we solve them? Well, quantitative research, you try to look at the data. Well, both are challenging. When it comes to quantitative research, a challenge is it's really hard to do quantitative research on education. Classroom differs, student differs. There's not enough time, right? No teacher in the world have enough time. And then you have the qualitative interviews, which works okay, but tends to be quite biased. So what we have seen work really best for us to make something students love, which is the big goal, is doing things that don't scale, participating and observing feelings. That's what I usually call it. From day one, we have made a point out of spending as much time as possible every week inside classrooms. That could be classrooms using Curipod or classrooms that don't use Curipod. If we're in classrooms that don't use Curipod, we try to observe what's happening in this classroom. I think a lot is inspired by how IKEA has done a lot of their product development, and they're really good at understanding what people need. But especially when we're in classrooms that use Curipod, the great thing about being in the classroom, not just doing interviews with users, is that we don't just see what they are doing, that we could see from our metrics in the app, but we can see how they feel about what they're doing, because that's extremely important. We can see how the teachers respond and feel about their students' answers. We can see how the students look while they are participating. Are they engaged? Are they smiling? Are they laughing? Are they focused? There are many of these dynamics that are super important to us. So we try to spend as much time as possible in the classroom. And what I thought I'll do now is I'll tell you shortly how this strategy helped us do three things. It helped us pivot away from a 2 million NOK ARR on our previous product. It helped us decide to go to the United States, and it helps us not building our most requested feature. So the pivot, how did we pivot away from a product that had a 2 million NOK, that's a 200,000 USD ARR? Basically what happened was our first product that was for universities, it was a product for getting and making it easier for students to ask questions in university, because that was we were starting straight out of college. That was a problem we were really familiar with. Well, what we did was that we built a platform for all of this, and it worked really well. Students asked so many more questions. We had some great evidence, some good research of NHH where students responded that they learned, I think, twice as much in the classes that used Snap Mentor, as that product was named. Well, the problem was we didn't spend enough time to get just observing our users, because the students loved it, the professors didn't. It was just extra work for the professors. Well, the problem then, of course, becomes that you have a product administrators like and are willing to buy because we sold a lot of it, and you have a problem like a product the students love, but what we saw was the professors didn't really love it. Well, that worked for a while, right? As I said, 200,000 USD in quite a short time. It's a good traction, and it's hard to pivot away from. But what we then realized was this won't scale. We can't reach the whole world by this, because professors won't be talking excitedly about this product, and we want to build something people love. So that's why we pivoted away from it. And then we had the next decision. Do we want to go to the United Kingdom or the United States? Why was it kind of boiled down to these two? Well, first of all, we wanted to go to an English-speaking country. Made it a lot easier for product development. And then UK and the US was the best option. The UK would have been preferable time zone wise, right? It's easier to work with the UK from Norway. What we did was I sent an email out to 1,000 principals in London and the area around it, and 1,000 principals in New York, asking them if I could just visit their classrooms. And then we spent 2 months on the road, 1 month in the 2 weeks in the UK and 1 month in the US last fall, visiting classrooms. Here you see us at Eton. They responded to my cold email. Super happy. We got a tour of Eton. We got a day there just shadowing teachers. And the other picture here is at the family breakfast in Ithaca, New York. We were invited home to the principal there. So Jens there is my co-founder. But the point of all of this is we spent time in the classroom. And if you just look at the comparisons, it's like data, it's hard to see where we should go, right? It's not obvious which market we should choose. But in the classroom, it became obvious because we could observe how different classroom interactions were. United Kingdom was so far away from how teaching was done in Norway. The US was so similar, like the teachers' wishes were the same. The only difference was part of the pedagogics. Well, that wasn't a problem for us because of the Nordic pedagogics. The whole idea of Curipod is making Nordic pedagogics accessible to everyone. So then it was an obvious choice for us based on the feelings we observed in the classroom to go to the United States. And it worked, right? We have had 1,000 signups every day since we launched it there. And then our last decision was to not build our most requested feature. And our most requested feature is a quiz. We're asked about it so much. These pictures there are, again, showing like how seriously we take being close to our users. On the right side here, you see Brenda. She is a teacher using Curipod in a small town in West Virginia. And we reached out to our teachers asking, hey, can we come observe your classroom? Well, a lot of them just invited us to stay with them. So Ellen and Eskil, who we can brief, like Ellen, we can see here, they went and lived with Brenda on her farm in West Virginia for 1.5 weeks, going back and forth to her office with her every day, joining her in her classroom, just joining in on everything they did. And what we observed there was, it was obvious that they needed a quiz, but was it obvious that it should be inside Curipod? We observed really different feelings from the times they used quizzes and the times they used Curipod. And seeing that feelings play out live made us realize that there is obviously a need for a quiz in the classroom. And it's obvious that teachers would prefer to have them all in one tool, but it might damage kind of the feelings we want to create with Curipod. So we decided that's a feature we're not building. So I think that was it for me, a short journey of kind of our Nordic EdTech journey. I have time for some questions if anyone have them.
Lovely, thanks so much, Eirik. There are some questions in the Q&A.
Yeah.
Let's see. What was the name of the US investor?
This was Reach Capital.
Yeah, and Reach Capital are just such lovely people. I can really recommend them when it comes
to tell you the story of how we really got sold on Reach Capital. Jens, my co-founder, he had the first meeting with them, and I think they spent most of that first meeting talking about the concept of Norwegian Folkehøyskole, which was a quite interesting talk. But the next thing they did was they asked us, can we speak to 4 users who love Curipod? Can we speak to 4 teachers? And they spent 1.5 hours with each of those teachers talking to them about why is Curipod important for you? And so basically they proved after the first meeting that they shared kind of our love for the classroom and what's happening there. And that made it really easy to us to trust them, right? Because you want investors you really trust.
Yep. And Reach Capital are also very interested in impact. So for those of you listening and wondering how to scale with impact, like Marko was describing, it's looking for investors who understand that. Another question for you, Eirik. Anna is asking, what are the main differences in the classroom ethos in the US and UK? Don't know if you summarize
really interesting
briefly.
question. I think what we observed was, and of course there are differences across classrooms, but in general, we observed the culture in the UK where education in school was a lot about disciplining you and making you kind of ready to be a disciplined person. Like it was, I won't say a negative view on the student, but it was really a lot about making you ready for a harsh life, basically. Whereas the US classroom was a lot more similar to the Norwegian one. They were exploring things. There were a lot more room for a lot more curiosity. Now, well, there's a lot of differences between US and Norwegian education, right? The testing system is completely different. So there are definitely different incentives going on in the classroom, but it was obvious that the teacher's goal was a lot similar in the US and in the UK. We did this experiment where we tested teachers on how positive they were to the phrase teaching to the test. Whereas the American teachers responded extremely negative to that, the UK teachers responded quite positive. And that was a big shock for us. So for us, that made it a lot easier to make that decision that we will probably launch, like we have a lot of users in the UK. We have some amazing, like Scotland, they are like a lot more similar to Norway in that regard. But that was a big learning for us as a classroom tool that I think we would have fought an uphill battle, like if we were to scale to all of the UK.
Interesting. Thank you for that. And then there is a question from Simon or Simon, I don't know.
Oh, I see it here.
Yes.
Yeah.
How big is your team?
How big is the team and how did we scale? And I think scale down up to avoid due to server costs. Okay, so we started out with 3 founders. It was Frick, he's our CTO and co-founder. Jens is our CEO and I'm our COO. Me and Jens have a commercial background. Frick has a technical background, but we've all been like product hands-on from day one. So Frick did the coding, but we've all been like, we all love building products. Then we have scaled gradually. We are now 2 more engineers, 1 third one joining in February, and 8 people in total at the moment with the go-to-market team and the tech team. Scaling up and down to avoid huge server costs and tech team expenses. The honest answer is that that's a problem for the future. At the moment, we have raised a lot of money, and we try to build a culture. Of course, you have to spend your money wisely, but you don't like when you're 8 people and those 8 people are amazing. I don't want to put someone to spend a month of their time figuring out how to get costs down, because that's not our biggest problem. The problem is continuing to build the best product in the world. So we try to always kind of prioritize a bit between kind of where do we spend our time, like when can we solve a problem with time and when can we solve it with money. But it's a problem we know it's solvable down the line, right? It's just more engineering power at it.
That makes sense. Okay, very interesting, Eirik. Thanks so much for your time and sharing so transparently and generously about your journey.
Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, just reach out to us. We love helping the community.
Or join us in Texas next year, right?
Yes.
In Austin. So we look forward
this year. Yeah, next year. But this year. So in March. I'm already started planning that. I'm going to be in Texas a lot next year. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, so we'll have a joint presentation again about a sort of Norwegian and Nordic EdTech landscape there. So we look forward to speaking directly with US audience and perhaps some of you who might join.
So nice meeting you all.
Thanks very much, Eirik. Bye. So this was sort of the last presentation we have prepared for our bootcamp. But before we close, we wanted to celebrate some people who have been following through all the different sessions we had as part of the bootcamp. And we would like to basically celebrate with them that they joined, they've been participating with us, and hear whether they want to share a few observations. So I believe we have some of the people who applied and received these certificates with us. Lisa Kaufman. There you are, Lisa. Hi. And we have Edlira Dibrani also joining us. Hi, Edlira. And I think there were a few more. I'm just trying to quickly find them within the audience. But while I do so, Elvira or Lisa, would you like to say a few words?
You want to go first, Terje?
The floor is yours. I'll let you take the lead.
Well, I guess it might be a little appropriate because hearing the Curipod presentation, the gentleman's from Norway going to the US again a lot, and I have the opposite. I'm American living in Norway, and I'm married to a Norwegian, so that's what started the whole travels. But I found out about the boot camp because Natalia and I are connected on LinkedIn. And I actually read everything she posts.
Oh,
and
that I didn't know.
One of the most recent ones was about the boot camp. Okay. And so I actually do a lot of work with US groups in education and EdTech. And I thought, what an amazing opportunity to really dabble in and learn from great experts about the Nordics. So I couldn't be more happy to be a part of this, and just so honored to have had the opportunity. And a little bit about myself is I'm actually a developmental psychologist, and my research is all in cognitive development. So how kids learn and acquire new knowledge, including language acquisition and conceptual development, and have actually been applying that for the last 20 years or so in education. So I worked for very large school districts and county offices of education in early learning and education, and also up to elementary school, grade 5 in the United States, at places like San Francisco Unified and a few other places. And as I moved here, I had the opportunity to start. I actually made a cold call to an EdTech company, and I've been working with them and nonprofits and other education partners for the last 5 years when I moved here. So delighted to be here. Maybe there will be opportunities to collaborate with some folks in the Nordic as well. But thank you again so much for the opportunity and for this great boot camp.
Thanks so much, Lisa. I didn't realize we are connected on LinkedIn in the sense that you follow and actually read what I post.
I do. I actually read and learn, and I learn so much. So just for folks that are part of the boot camp, if you get a connect invite from me, it's simply from the spirit of learning more. So
wonderful, in the spirit of the community. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And Lira and Devika, you have joined us. Where did you join us from? Was it Finland or?
I actually work. Hi, everybody. Hi, Natalia. I actually work. I'm in the Finnish Schools International Network, which is a network of Finnish schools around Europe, mostly right now. So our headquarters are based in Kosovo. So it's the south of Europe. I don't know if you've heard of us. We're quite close to Albania. And then we have partner schools in Finland and in Turkey. So our network is growing, and this bootcamp has been actually a very good opportunity for us to check what kind of sources and what kind of other partnerships we can do as our network keeps growing with schools around Europe and soon in South America. So for us, we're a network of international schools which follow the Finnish pedagogy and education system. I like how Eirik was mentioning earlier the differences between US and UK when it comes to Nordic education systems. But we also noticed that here in Kosovo, it's quite different. So sometimes Nordic education systems are a bit they're a new experience for other countries abroad. So for us, we've tried to implement EdTech for the 6 years of our establishment. And technology is something that we truly value, and we see that its development should go hand in hand with the education of the kids, even starting from kindergarten, preschool, all the way until university and further. And we believe that this will truly enhance their skills and knowledge and make them ready, not just university and work, but also for life. So I think this bootcamp has been a really great help to check what is out there. And of course, Nordic countries are an exemplary model for others to follow. So I really appreciate for this opportunity that you gave us today to connect, and for the past 3 days to check what more we can accomplish, how we can cooperate, kind of partnerships we can foster. And I really look forward to meeting you soon. Why not?
Thank you so much. Really pleased that you could join. And, you know, we are learning and getting to know wonderful people through this. So it's been a journey for us too, in terms of really energizing us with these new connections. Thank you so much. And Devika, you are joining us from where?
So I am in Geneva, Switzerland. I am not in a Nordic country. Maybe the only one joining, I don't know, from Switzerland for this. And let me see, I actually came across this, I believe, on LinkedIn, but I can't remember exactly how that happened. But I just have a background in education. I'm a former, so I moved to Europe from the US. I was a classroom educator and a museum educator for a number of years. I worked in the New York City public school system and the Los Angeles Unified School District. So yes, it's been a massive change. We are in Geneva, and you know, Switzerland is like many countries combined together in one. So just been learning about education, and also with a personal interest and professional interest in education technology, primarily because my children, I'm a parent also. So that was quite interesting for me to participate, looking at it through the lens of a parent and educator as well. But I do feel there's so much happening in ed tech, and I feel like we here, at least maybe on the French speaking side of the country, are somewhat in a bubble. So this has really, really opened up a lot for me in terms of understanding what is happening in Europe, which is, you know, very close by. I'm in the middle of Europe, so I don't feel like any of you are far away. And just I've learned so much about different school systems through the past 4 days, how that interlinks and overlaps with government models, policy, and then of course the tech side, the incubation side, and the business side. So it's been extremely fascinating and useful. And I myself am incubating sort of a women's professional network here in Geneva. So I'm trying to see what I can pull and maybe help run with as we try to grow a little bit our network. So thank you so much for all of your guests and all the hard work that goes into doing this for 4 days in a row. I can't believe it was pretty seamless, at least from my point of view. So thank you both so much for that.
Oh, thank you so much, Devika. Appreciate it. And you're a professional, so you know how this works behind the scenes. We've been quite busy.
So much work. So much work.
Yes.
You deserve I hope you guys have time off next week, because you know, it's so much work to do this. So thank you. And the time zones and everything.
Yeah. But my partner in crime, Trond Ingebretsen, has been helping me very, very much. So thank you for supporting us with your good energy. And, you know, as you said, we are not too far away. It's really just a message or email away. Feel free to reach out to us. We are delighted with the community we've been able to build.
And I'm looking forward to connecting with people. I've been taking notes, and just like, you know, I want to go back to some of the things people talked about. And it's just, it's a lot. It needs, I feel like I need some time to let it simmer a little bit.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Trond, do you want to say goodbye to everyone and then we wrap up?
Yeah, I think it's coming to an end. I will not go through all the speakers and highlight everything's happened the last 4 days, but it's been for me as well an incredible experience. A lot of new knowledge and insights from both the speakers, but also with the collaboration with the participants, and great questions. So I would just join you all saying thank you so much for joining and for doing this. So and making it the event it became. And wishing everyone a good weekend, and see you again soon.
Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye.